So ultimately, why Opti, right? How is Opti different, and what's in it for you as an AEC partner? So here, this graphic is a really good example at a passive solution, which we're all very familiar with. This is our what we call gray infrastructure, and it also includes green infrastructure. So on the left, you have a treatment and filtration systems, conveyance systems, retention, detention, and these include both above ground and underground detention storage systems. And then on the right, the star of the show today is continuous monitoring and adaptive control. So what's so special about Opti? Well, here at Opti, we've discovered that by incorporating the technology for both real-time continuous monitoring and adaptive control, we can get a really good visual of what's going on in our watersheds. And this is a combination, and here I'll go to the next slide where we'll have a really good graphic. This is a combination of field hardware as well as IoT devices in conjunction with a software. So let me go ahead and start here with the photo on the right-hand side. This is what we have all seen, what we see when you're walking down the streets, when going into your apartment buildings, your office buildings, you see, it could be a green infrastructure, such as an above ground pond, reservoirs, wetlands, or gray, which is combined sewers, storage facilities, or even pump stations. And what we do here as part of CMAC, we layer that with an IoT system, and it integrates with third-party hardware, such as an actuated valve, level sensors, and then an Opti control panel. This is a sort of a cabinet similar to what you see in your electrical cabinets at home, but it's nicely packaged with everything you need for these hardware, the level sensor, actuated valve that goes incorporated into the existing or new infrastructure to communicate to the cloud-based software here at Opti. And this is the unique part. So we're all familiar with the design and what goes into passive infrastructure, but where it really unlocks the full potential of this continuous monitoring and dynamic control is bringing in this cloud-based software. And what it does, it communicates with precipitation and weather forecasts, such as NOAA or tomorrow.io, and it makes smart decisions. So if we foresee that there is a storm coming that will affect the water levels, say in an above ground pond, then Opti is able to make those intelligent choices in the system based on the logic that we work with our partners to configure. And it sends commands over to the control panel and says, okay, we have a 25-year storm coming. Let's go ahead and drain down those rain harvesting cisterns. Let's go ahead and drain down those ponds and give the capacity to receive those storm events. We also have a web-based dashboard that allows our users to have full control of owner and maintenance, of operations and maintenance type of integration. So you can go in there as a user and you can see in real time what is going on with your dedicated infrastructure. The software also has the capacity to integrate with other third-party SCADA type integrations. And we'll go more into detail as to the different objectives that can be applied to, or how CMAC can be applied to different objectives. These are just a couple. And in the nutshell, and the most important thing that I would like for you to take away from this one slide is that Opti is one platform, yet it has many and multiple benefits. So it's really interesting how one project does not necessarily need to be equal to just one objective. You can have one project with all of these objectives, one project with 2 or 3 of these. So it is very versatile, and we're able to monitor and incorporate all of this into one platform. So just as an example, let's go through a couple of these. We have asset performance, and that may include reducing stormwater maintenance costs and improve compliance reporting. Flood mitigation, we have seen a lot of flooding in the Northeast areas over the last few months, and stormwater just continues to challenge us. So we also have advanced monitoring for predicting system with automated flood alerts and response with our Opti dashboard, and we can configure all of that to see how the Stormwater challenges are coming at us, so we're changing constantly. We also have erosion control, which maximizes the use of available storage to minimize peak flow rates. Combined sewer overflow. I can't see you, but raise your hand if you're in a combined sewer overflow system that just constantly, you have to be, if you're in a municipality, there's regulations constantly coming from EPA or wherever it is that you're working with your local issuing authority, where you have to reduce those flows to make sure that you're working within your combined sewer system adequately. Water quality improvement, again, talking about the environment, extending the stormwater detention time or increasing filtration rates. Water conservation, the adaptive controls allows us to contribute to different approaches as to how we can use that water conservation. Some examples could be rainwater harvesting or the reuse of stormwater for irrigation purposes, for example. So with that, sorry about that. Our promise incorporating all these objectives are to work with our partners and our customers so that together we can help you find an economic solution with resilient infrastructure and overall just give you peace of mind, knowing that wherever your system is, you could be in the West Coast and your system can be in the East Coast, and you have full peace of mind that you can improve the safety and compliance of your watershed. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how this promise is very prevalent throughout every single one of our projects. And this is also going to be a nice layout of what's coming in future webinars as part of this series. For today, we're only going to be focusing on the feasibility assessment. However, what we also have after a feasibility assessment, the way that these projects naturally move through our pipeline and within Opti is we also have a solution design phase, followed by implementation, optimization, and ultimately leading to operations and maintenance. So with feasibility, again, we'll go more into detail on those. We have objectives, CMAC retrofit approach, benefit analysis, and that's a comparison of passive and CMAC objectives and how those differ. And then also conceptual site design and layout. With solution design, we'll get more into software configuration, modeling and simulation, implementation. That's where your hardware, our certified hardware program comes into play. And then optimization is we're never done. We're not quite done with the system yet. Even though we've already turned the key over, we're still very liable for it. And we're constantly looking to see how we can optimize the system even better. And then that translates into our operations and maintenance. So for those of you that are more in the land development sector or the municipal sector where you're dealing with traditional workflows in a construction project, I did an overlay for you so you can kind of see how these align with, this is more for new development or even retrofit of existing developments. So you have the planning phase that overlaps feasibility and solution design. You have design and permitting. And as you can see here under solution design, we also take into account regulatory. And it goes a little bit also into implementation. And then there's construction, which is all implementation. Now the construction phase is the installation of the hardware. We provide partner support during the installation phase. And then as with everything, no project is perfect. There's always moving parts when you're in the construction phase, right? So we're constantly there providing support, answering the call, doing remote commissioning as needed, and then just working with this dynamic system as it's getting installed and then ready for startup. So as part of the feasibility assessment, which is what we're focusing on today, the first step is which sites are suitable for CMAC, or how do we know, right? Or what are the considerations that we have to take into account at the very beginning. So here's just a list, and I'm going to be going through a sample project with you, but these are just a couple of things that we like to consider and walk with our partners, whether that's a new development, existing development. We like to know, what are the existing conditions of the site? Is this, I don't know, is there already a problem going on there that we're trying to mitigate? Or is a new development where impervious area is increasing, so now you have to meet those reductions in flow rates, right? We need to know the drainage area. What area are you looking at, and what does it consist of? Storage capacity. What are we working with? Do you have an overly sized system that, because of your passive infrastructure, you're not able to utilize at full capacity? Controllable volume, and I'll show you a really nice graphic on that. Cellular connectivity, and that's just because our Opti system works off of cellular connections. So we just want to make sure that we have full connectivity to the system, again, for full visibility and peace of mind. And then we also offer line and solar power systems. So we also walk through the options of what is the best application for this particular site. You may be in a completely remote site where canopy is not a problem, so solar is absolutely a good application, or you may be more in an urban land type of situation where site space is limited, or you just don't have the capacity to receive solar power. So we do have those line power systems. All right, jumping into our sample project here. I'm going to be walking these 4 bullet points are exactly what you would find should we partner up as part of a feasibility assessment. The first one is objectives. So after we've decided, okay, we want to see how this site is going to function, and will it be beneficial from a cost perspective, from a design perspective? Let's move forward and take a look at it, right? So the first thing that we do is we ask our partners and customers, what are your objectives, right? And like I said, that's the beauty of Opti. You can have multiple objectives, multiple applications, and they can all be under one platform. So for this sample project, I only listed 2, but you can have 4, 5, 6, many of them. For this sample project, let's just say that this is a water quality and erosion control type of project. These are the objectives. You're trying to increase water quality and you're trying to mitigate erosion control. With that, we identify key performance indicators. So our KPIs for this would be wet weather volume capture, that could be gallons per year. And we could also compare that when it comes to erosion control. We all know that, hey, let's limit or decrease our peak flow rate so that we're not causing that scour down the stream or eroding certain natural vegetated areas or stream bank erosion, all of that. So with that, we can compare the pre and post discharge rates from a select design storm. So as a designer or as a client, you can tell us these are the storms that we want to look at, and we will work with you on that. So with all that being said, the simple question is, what do we do with all this extra volume that we're getting for you? So this is called active control volume or controllable volume. And this goes directly to your objectives. We can make this happen for you. What do you want to do with it? And that leads us to the retrofit approach. The first thing that we need, if it is already an existing site, is we look at as-built drawings to understand the full site from a design perspective. And the star of the project here, it could potentially be the outlet control structure, since that is where the Opti system is getting retrofitted. If it's a new development, well, we can see how this can integrate into the new outlet control structure. So that is seamlessly part of the project. With that, we also, once we have a full understanding of what the project is or what the current conditions are, we do sort of a walkthrough of suggestions. And this is just a very simple, high level. As you can see, this is by no means top of the line CAD drawing. This is just an overlay with indicators on what Opti would suggest for this particular project. Going back to the previous slide, the existing conditions for this project, you have a 12-inch orifice here, and we are suggesting to put an actuated valve. You have a stem here, and this is the actuator. That's what communicates with our control panel. And then we can have this closed at all times, or we can open it up to mitigate some of those flows. And by doing so, we can also look at the benefit analysis. So by going from a passive system to this beautified CMAC system that allows you for continuous monitoring and adaptive control, we can play with this active control volume. What do you want to do with it? How are we going to address and ultimately be successful in getting those objectives to work properly on the site, right? So in the benefit analysis, we compare the passive system, what was currently there, or what was the original design, if it's not an existing development, to what it would look like if we incorporate CMAC. So these are the numbers, right? As you can see for this particular sample, we looked at the 3, 5, and 25-year storm events. This is what our client wanted us to look at. We can change that at any time. You can see that there are significant flow rates for the passive system. And when you go to a CMAC system, it goes directly down to 0. And the magic happens from the ability to close that valve, because the pond, this is an above ground pond, was, I wouldn't say oversized, it just was not being used to its full capacity. So by closing the valve and allowing more storage to be uptake during those storm events, we realized, hey, we can capture up to the 25-year event without any flow rate. And you'll also see here peak elevations. They're also reduced here. So there's a major impact when it comes to putting these analyses side to side so that our customers can see it. And if it doesn't work, we can always go back to the drawing board and see what other retrofit approaches we can look at. Additionally, we can also look at site characteristics and the estimated wet weather volume capture. And this goes back to the water quality for this project. As you can see down here, you have the passive side and then compared to the CMAC side. This is almost a 6-time increase in storage utilization just by installing an actuated valve. And that translates to about a 99% wet weather capture. Once we're done with that, again, this is super high level. This would be equivalent to maybe a 10% design set. We just show, this is what we think the system will look like on the site and where we think everything should go. Again, there's plenty of room for dynamic changes during this stage. And we also have a lot of input from our customers as to, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't put the control panel here. Maybe it should go over there. But as part of the feasibility report, we just like to put out there the first suggested layout. And I just like to include this photo here just to show what it looks like in real life. You have your actuated valve here, this blue part, the stem, and then the actuator. You have, this is on the right side, you have a solar panel with the control panel, solar panels and the optic control panel. And then on the left side, we just want, it's a little difficult to get pictures like this, but because usually they're underground, but we just want to make an emphasis on the fact that this also works with underground detention systems. In future webinars, we will be going more into detail on our certified hardware program. So fear not, we will be getting into this a lot deeper. And a question we get a lot is, well, what about your safety? We do take that into account as well as part of a benefit analysis. We look at civil design, safety, cloud-based safety, mechanical safety, and that goes everything from looking at the downstream condition assessments, alarms that we have in place for a cloud-based system, where you can do manual control if needed in an emergency, third-party security systems as well. And then in terms of mechanical, we do have backup batteries, local fail-safe strategy, and so forth. So that is a huge part of our initiative to make this the most resilient system possible and safe for everyone. And then here, I just wanted to point out really quickly, and again, we'll be getting more into this as we go through the seminar series, but we do have a toolbox and resources that is constantly growing to support our partners and customers throughout the life cycle of the project. For feasibility assessment, which is what we talked about, is we do have a site selection for stormwater controls. And I believe there's a link on here, but for the purposes of keeping everything organized, Jennifer will post the website where you can click on it and go directly in there, and you will be able to have access to each and every one of these resources on our website. So feel free to go and check out the site selection. And then we'll be talking more about the Opti design manual, implementation, and so forth in future webinars. To put the bow on the nice little present here is the fact that we partner for customer success. As I said earlier, we are a group of very passionate water resource engineers and technology enthusiasts that are constantly looking for ways to make our community better, and that would not be possible without our partners, our engineer and architect partnership, and then also partnership with municipalities. So we do partner with third-party contractors and engineers on the planning and design and modeling phase. We integrate our Opti technology, and the overall result is cleaner water in resilient communities where we can all be nice and happy, and again, being dynamic with the challenges that stormwater and Mother Nature throws at us every day. So thank you so much for our current partners, and we invite those that are new to this system to visit our website and reach out with any questions. And with that, I'm sure a lot of you may be flooded with questions, and I'm going to open the floor. And I guess I'll go with the first question. Is there anyone who would like to share any projects that you're currently working on where you can think how this CMAC system may be a benefit? And Jennifer, I don't know if there's people who may have put questions in the chat here, but feel free to read those as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rosa. Really appreciate your time to go through that with us. Getting that feasibility assessment is that first step in understanding whether or not we can proceed. We had one question came through, Bethda, and asked, is there a way to get automated notifications between storms to let us know about any problems in an installed Opti system, such as problems with cellular connectivity, control panel, actuated valve, or the water level sensor? Victor did answer that in the chat, but I'm going to pass it over to Victor Klaas to see if he wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, thanks, Beth. There are various ways to configure alerts, either threshold based or based on storm events and time periods, everything from a persistent high water level, meaning your facility is not draining properly, could be an indication of a clog or a failed valve, as well as threshold-based alerts such as offline periods, for example. So with Opti, we believe that it's important for our community and customers to know when something's not working, as well as when it's working really well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I will add to that, Victor. This is a team effort, certainly. I would like to add there that at the end of the installation process, and once the system is up and running, we do provide a full service user onboarding where we train our users in how to use the Opti dashboard. We add any, we always have, say, an administrator who is fully in control of who can see the system and who cannot, or if they want to assign certain permissions. So we set all of that up once the system is up and running, and it is fully customizable throughout the life of the system. So yes, you can receive alerts as needed, or if there's a certain group in your municipality or in your company that would like to analyze certain parts, not get all of the alerts, we can also customize that as well.
Great. I have another question that's coming in, and I know that this is a common question that we get with concerns when it comes to real-time control, right? It's like, oh, I don't know if the robots are going to take over, right? But can you comment on the real-time control aspect and the safety and override applications there?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, that is a concern. And I remember before joining Opti, I was in the land development world, and I had the exact same question, like, oh, just one more component to look after, right? But again, that is why we do feasibility assessment and why we have a whole life cycle of phases where we are continuously talking to the partner and the end user as to what those objectives are. What are the safety concerns? Not every project has the same safety concern. So we do have a back logic, a program in part of our software that we are continuously updating should anything need to be addressed. For example, in areas that need winterization, we switch that system over in the winter. For systems that are seeing heavy rainfall during some precipitation events, then I have Kenneth here, our hydroinformatic engineer, can talk more into that, but we can certainly change the logic of the system. And then in terms of will the robots take over? Absolutely not. We do have manual override. So in the case of an emergency, one, we do have fail-safe backup within the actuator that has enough power in case of an emergency where there's a blackout. We do have that. But in addition to it, at any time, the user, the customer, municipality can go out to the site and manually close or manually change the valve. So at no given point are we relying 100% on the cloud.
Fantastic. Kenneth, Victor, any last words to add? Great.
No, just looking to the next webinar and diving more into the software design and configuration.
Absolutely. We'll get into, you'll see here, coming up next is we're continuing the series with CMAC Design 101, and we'll move into that second step of solution design. And in that, we'll go into more detail about the software configuration, the modeling that goes along with it, and start talking about some of the hardware options. A late question coming in was about the batteries, right? Is it always solar? So those types of things we'll address in the next series. So look for the registration link coming out soon to sign up for that. You'll want to see that. And thank you all so much for your time. We'll be following up with an email that's sharing this presentation along with the recording, and you're welcome to share that. We'll have this recording posted for you to come back to and reference as needed. And also, please feel free to look at the Partner Resources tab on our webpage. There's a lot of additional information there that you'll find helpful. And as always, reach out to us. You can get to us online. You can get to us however you need to, but give us a call, and we look forward to seeing you and talking to you again soon. So thank you very much.